Hi everyone. This time I feel like commenting on sex, sexuality, and creative energy. This is a theme that has been around for a long, long time. It accompanies humanity. It's quite obvious that sexuality has been very important to us humans since the beginning, at least, of what we know from recorded history. And we know that sexuality has been at the origin of a lot of human creativity, of a lot of very important works of art. We find it in dance, we find it in painting, we find it in sculpture, in the movies, we find it in poetry, in literature, in theater. We find it everywhere, and we have major works of art that are directly inspired in sexuality and that describe varieties of sexual experience and themes that are connected. We also know that, unfortunately, throughout history and nowadays, sexuality gives rise to lots of sexual crimes, of aggression, of distortion, of awful stuff done between human beings. It also gives rise to frustration and then aggression as a consequence. So it has been something extremely important to humans, and it can be obviously used in very different ways, both negative and positive. We also know from the myths of creation that accompany humanity for a long time that in a vast majority of them, at the beginning of things, there is a differentiation, there is a duality, a basic duality of the universe that then gives rise to third factors, to a creation. There is a marriage of gods sometimes, there is a marriage of primeval forces. There is duality, and this duality then gives rise to third factors that amount to the creation of the universe. Now, with this, we can indeed think about sexuality as basically a manifestation in us humans of basic creative forces from the universe. Then sex, as we call it, is just a minor manifestation of the basic creation of the universe, of the basic creative forces. Now, in this sense also, of course, sex will be everywhere. The thing is, to me, that sexuality can give rise to wonderful experiences, to wonderful productions, can help us find more about each other, can help us dive into ourselves, and help us find deep relationships with other people. But then again, it can also amount to severe distortions. And we find also in lots of situations satanic practices that, on intent, use sexuality to produce dark magic effects and also to amount to a sort of a basic distortion of sex and the creation force to go, in a way, against the universe, the ensouled universe. Now, what I think I have been observing in our modern times is indeed a distortion of sexuality that seems to be promoted by some social forces, perhaps some occult forces, in a way, probably to intentionally distort human life. I'm not going to details. Some details are quite ancient, like sex slavery, like prostitution, where people are paid to be, in a way, raped, at least energetically and even physically, by a lot of people. This, to me, is obviously not healthy, not nice. If we support it, we are supported, I think, something that is deviating us from real deep relationships for love that might come along with sexuality. It deviates us from our soul. So it's not such a good idea. Now, what we also can say about sexuality is that when it becomes a distortion, when it is distorted, it amounts to creating things that are not healthy, that are, in a way, deviating us from our own souls and from deep love and deep contact with creation, with other human beings, with beings in general. That does not seem to be such a good thing. And we might really consider this, we think about it. Because sexual experience is also somehow precious to us humans, and it's probably a very good idea to be careful with that, to protect it, to search for improvements in the quality of sexuality in human relationships. And it's probably good to avoid allowing for easy distortions, some of them coming from just searching for pleasure by itself, which is probably not wrong in itself. That's not such a big deal, but it easily can bring us to distortion, to addiction, to loss, somehow loss of our own soul, our inner deep contact with ourselves, and the loss of the opportunity of really contacting other human beings at a very deep level. And for that, for sexuality to have a very important, lightful, deep, ensouled meaning, we must care for it. We must be careful with it. We must, in a way, strive perhaps towards improving the quality of sex, not so much the quantity and not so much the surface level, distorted, purely physical sex. We can do better. And this is the idea for now. So as usual, if you like it, comment, share, subscribe the channel. And this is indeed what the kind of thing that we YouTubers tell people to do.